Hey Yappers! Today's episode is all about Too Much, the brand new Netflix comedy series created by Lena Dunham, starring Megan Stalter and Will Sharpe. We break down the various love stories and how we heal from past relationships and traumas. We chat through some revealing parallels between the show and Lena Dunham's real life, and we also spend some time discussing insecurities, projections, and some character patterns between creators like Lena Dunham, Mindy Kaling, and Jenny Han. Buckle in, Yappers, and let's get started.
Hello, fellow Yappers. I'm Ruchi.
And I'm Shalini, and we're your hosts of Binge Yap Repeat.
We're two best friends who spend an embarrassing amount of time binge watching TV, and honestly, we just need to talk about it. If you're here, we're guessing you do too.
Fair warning, this is a spoiler-friendly zone. We will be discussing lots of spoilers. So, if you haven't watched the show yet, hit pause, go binge, and come back when you're ready to yap with us.
And now, it's yap time. How's it going?
You know what? It's going pretty good. Can't complain. I didn't really do very much today. Actually, I cleaned out my whole kitchen pantry cabinet and organized it.
Yappers, for context, Shalini right now is unemployed. So,
Yep, this is the riveting stuff of a fun employed gal. I've lived in my apartment for 2 years and we just re-signed for a third year, and I haven't touched like the back of my snacks cabinet in so long. So I cleaned it all out. Nothing was moldy. It was just very messy, you know? So I just cleaned it all out, reorganized it, threw some stuff away, and now it's like just so much better.
nice. Wow, I can't believe it's been 2 years and some change now.
I know. Yeah. Time flies.
Time flies. I'm trying to think of a good transition moment for Too Much.
The amount of stuff in my snacks cabinet was too much.
Ta-dum. Yes, so today we are talking about the new Netflix romantic comedy television series Too Much. The story of Too Much is about Jessica, who is a New York workaholic who is reeling from a broken relationship. She takes a job in London where she plans to live like a Bronte sister, but she meets Felix, who is a walking series of red flags, and their unusual connection is impossible to ignore. The television series was created by Lena Dunham and Louise Felber, and it stars Megan Stalter as Jessica and Will Sharpe as Felix. And it was released on Netflix on July 10th, 2025. Shalini, what did you think? I'm so curious.
So, as you know, about 5 minutes in to starting episode 1, I texted you and I was like, Ruchi, I think I hate this show. And it was for a few reasons. I will say by the end it grew on me, but it took basically until the very end to grow on me. I think a few reasons I hated it. One, I'm not a huge fan of the very crude Lena Dunham comedy, I think. When the main character, her sister, her mom, and her grandma were all in that room, and she was like, oh, grandma, why don't you just suck him off or whatever, and like was making jokes about her grandma giving her ex-boyfriend a blowjob. I was like, I'm not finding this funny. And then when she was blaming Wendy Jones for everything wrong in her life, I was like, what is this, like 1999? Why are we blaming the other woman? And it was just, nothing was fitting right for me. I didn't find it funny. I didn't like the message I was getting from anything. And yeah. But then by the end, I think Her coming around to Wendy and like giving her a chance and Wendy actually being awesome was one saving grace. Another saving grace was that I actually really liked Felix's character and he was really sweet. And I liked how they showed the honeymoon period kind of turning into this conflict where they're not sure how much to let each other in kind of thing and then kind of coming to a resolution. I thought that was very realistic and um yeah, yeah. So I started finding it more pleasant as the show went on, and then I ended up liking it more than I disliked it.
Do you think there was a specific turning point for you in the show where you were like, oh, okay, now I'm starting to see the point and now I kind of get it? Or was it just a gradual, okay, and then by the end when the conversation with Wendy happened, you're like, okay, the show kind of found its way in the end.
Mostly gradual. I will say one turning point for me was the episode where they stay up all night talking. I thought that was really cute, and I was like, oh, I miss this feeling of like, it doesn't matter how early I have to wake up tomorrow, like, this is more important than anything, kind of thing when you first meet someone. So yeah, I thought that was very cute. So that was one turning point where I was like, okay, okay, I'm giving this a chance. And then by the end, I was like, okay, yeah, it continued to improve.
Yeah, I think for me there actually was a distinct turning point. So I felt very similar to you in the beginning. I didn't watch Girls. I don't know. I guess I'm not a huge fan of Lena Dunham. Spoiler alert, maybe I am now. I'm not sure, to be honest. But the beginning episodes, I would say the first two episodes definitely felt very Lena Dunham from whatever like half episodes that I've seen of Girls. It was very reminiscent of that. Um, I think the turning point for me, I think it was in episode two or three. She is having dinner with that pop artist or actor guy. I can't remember, but she's having her first work
Oh.
dinner with that random guy. And she goes off on this monologue about how she doesn't like the term about being a mess. And she just like kind of goes off on him and also represents the average woman experience. Not average woman experience, but average woman experience. And I think I felt very connected to Jessica after that moment because I was like, oh, okay, yeah, she is speaking for how women generally feel. But I felt like before that, I wasn't really getting it. I felt like she wasn't really speaking for me and I wasn't really relating to her. I think that Lena Dunham kind of represents the average white woman experience. And so that's why I never felt very connected to her. But she writes from the white woman experience like it is the average woman experience. And I think there were a couple lines that rubbed me the wrong way that I was like, "Oh, this show, I don't know if this show is written for me." So, some examples of that. There was one line that was like, "Every woman has been told that they're not a model," or something like that. Does that ring a bell for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was, I can't remember what it was, but it was like, "Oh, every woman has been told that they're not a model." And I'm like, "Literally no one has told me that." Like I didn't know if it was something around like she was making a point about her size or like how women are supposed to be like super skinny like all the time and that's why they've never felt like they were a model size. And I'm like, no,
Mm.
nobody at my math competitions was telling me that I wasn't a model, you know? So I
Yeah.
think there was like that aspect. It felt very similar to when I was in school and like, we were in school, we're like women in STEM and we're like becoming good little engineers. When I joined like the big company that I work for right now, they kept being like, "Oh my God, you're a woman and you're an engineer. Isn't that crazy?" And I'm like, "I didn't think it was crazy until you told me that it was crazy." And now I'm like, I'm confused. Like, and they kept being like, "Oh, you're a freaking unicorn." And I'm like, "Am I?" And like that's kind of how it felt for this, where they're like, "Oh my God, you're an average sized woman. And so now you're part of this crazy elite club that's been so underrepresented, and we're doing our best to represent you. And it's mind blowing what we're doing is like we're representing the average woman experience." And I never, like, it was just something I've never thought about. And I don't know if that's a blessing and I've been so privileged to like never really think about that, or if that's the experience that Lena Dunham is going for.
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of what you said. I think she definitely writes from the perspective of my experience must be what every woman is experiencing. And actually, her lack of racial and ethnic diversity and representation in girls got a lot of criticism because of that. Even though, like it's set in New York, and New York is such a diverse city. So she's definitely like, I she probably took some pointers after girls. But yeah, I definitely agree with what you said about that. And I do think, I don't know if this is her intention, but I think she writes in a way where I'm like, do you think we are going to like your main character despite everything she does just because she's a mid-sized woman? Because like I actually really disliked a lot of Jessica's choices, and I did not like her as a character until towards the end. And like when we saw more of the backstory, I think. But I was like, okay, just because she's like a relatable physical physique and appearance doesn't make her lovable, and like you're not making her lovable at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what helped me relate to Jessica more was the title of the show. So I think Jessica is supposed to be someone that is too much, right? She is supposed to be someone who's super over the top, but at the end of the day, her heart's in the right place, and maybe her actions don't reflect the genuinity that is in her heart. But I think her heart's in the right place, and so I think I kind of I had to keep reminding myself of that. Of like, okay, no, like the character was written in a way that she is supposed to be too much. She is supposed to be a lot. But the point of the show is that even for this person who society keeps saying like you need to tone it down, you can't be like this all the time. Even her boss Jono was like, here are the things that you need to do that will help you in your life and your career. um in spite of all of that, she meets someone who doesn't think that way about her. He thinks she's exactly enough, and she feels the same way about him, right? He's also not really accepted or listened to by his family, and he's kind of just going through life making decisions on his own. Sometimes they're really bad and they have really bad consequences. But even then, even in spite of all that, Jessica is like, yeah, you're the one for me and you're not too much for me. So I think there is a lot of beauty in that story.
I agree with that. I do think there's a lot of beauty in that story, but I don't think too much equals extremely annoying and selfish. And I think they showed Jessica as extremely annoying and selfish. I think a great example of a very lovable character that is also quote unquote too much is Max from Ginny and Georgia. You know, she's so lovable because she's obviously a very dramatic person, but she's so selfless, like will do anything for her friends, just wants to be seen. And I think that's the issue I had with this, was that Jessica like left Felix's show early. She like really made everything about herself, and obviously that stems from a place of insecurity based on her past experiences, which I totally get, but I think there just wasn't enough redeeming character for her for me to be like, okay, like I love that someone's finally accepting her for who she is, because I was like, she she has work to do also.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, actually, speaking of insecurities, I read this article, or let me be clear. I read the title of the article and did not feel inclined to read more of it, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. So it was a UK stylist.co.uk article, and the headline was, "It's refreshing to see a plus size story lead whose story has nothing to do with her weight." Would you agree or disagree with this statement?
I do agree with that. I liked that nothing about the story had anything to do with her weight. Her weight was not a topic of conversation at all.
Yeah, and I think my answer to this is it is and it isn't. So I agree with you. I think the story was not directly about her weight, But also, Jessica did have a lot of insecurities, which you mentioned, right? And looking at her family life, like her family is so loving and so caring to her that you're like, okay, where are these insecurities coming from? And you as the audience are not told this, but you kind of insinuate that it must be because it's her way, but you're like not, it's never really said explicitly. So you're like, I don't know where these insecurities are coming from, but I feel like it might be her way, and you're like, question mark, I don't know. So one quote that really I think highlighted Jessica's insecurities was there was a flashback where she meets Zev, I think after they first met. Zev like comes to her place of work and like picks her up or something and says, I love you. And then Jessica says, I never dreamed of being loved by someone like you. And then I was like, said to an average white dude with a gap in his teeth? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You're great, Jessica. What do you mean you've never dreamed of being loved by someone like him? So I guess I was a little confused about that too, and I was like, oh, there's some insecurity going on here, but I was, yeah.
Okay, I actually don't know if her insecurity, I don't know if the intent was to show that her insecurity spawned from her weight. My interpretation was that like she just, he's a conventionally attractive man, Jewish man. I mean, okay, yeah, debatable, I guess, but he like fits the mold of what her family is looking for probably. So that's kind of how I interpreted it. I also think her insecurities post Zev had nothing to do with her weight, actually, and all had to do with just like how Zev treated her and made her feel completely unwanted. And I think, I mean, you saw at the end, like he made Wendy feel that way also. So I don't know. Because I also want to check myself and be like, am I projecting what she's insecure about? Because that's also something that I can feel insecure about at times. Or is that, was that on purpose? I don't know. But I think most of her insecurities were by how Zev treated her, and she just like has trauma from her past relationship. And then now I'm worried that because we're talking about her weight so much, we're making it a way bigger deal than it should be, and we're ruining the point of it not being talked about.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of what I think too. I'm like, am I now showing that I also have bias about looking at an average sized woman and just assuming that these insecurities that she has are about her weight? Am I the problem? Maybe this is the point that Lena Dunham is trying to make. I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think I agree with your point that a lot of her insecurities did stem from being in a relationship with Zev for 7 years, which is crazy. But yeah, I think that's why that line stood out so much to me. It's because, oh, she had these insecurities from before, and it seems like she was at some point like a rock star at her job, and we kind of saw that at the end. So she exuded confidence and like telling people what to do, and she has like an amazing personality that her family loves and adores. And I don't know if she has a lot of friends. We didn't really get into that in New York, like if she had like an amazing friend group or whatever. But yeah, that's why I feel like there's no reason for her to have insecurities at that point. So what could it
Yeah.
be? And then we never really got an answer to that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's super fair.
Yeah. Um, oh yes, also, the gap in his teeth, fun fact, is I think they had talked about this too. It's called a diastema. And when he mentioned it the first time, I was like, huh? What does that mean? And I actually looked it up, and it literally means a gap between your teeth. And I was like, oh.
Dias, gap, Tima, teeth. I don't know.
And then you mentioned that episode where they were staying up super late and she was like, this is way more important to me than any meeting, right?
Mhm.
I actually got so much anxiety from that episode because I was like, her 8:30 meeting, her 8:30 meeting. It's 11 p.m. They should be winding down for sleep now. And then it was like, oh, they fucking again. It's 1 a.m. They should really, really be winding down for sleep because they'll at least get 7 hours before the 8:30 meeting. Oh, they fucking again. And then I was like, it's 4 a.m. This was the point in the episode where I was watching at night. I turned off the episode and I went to bed. I went to bed before they did.
Yeah, very anxiety. As a fellow, I must go to sleep now person, I also felt anxiety during that episode.
Yeah, but then afterwards, they didn't even show any like repercussions of her making or not making the meeting. I don't even know if
Didn't
she made
matter.
it.
She was in love.
Oh my gosh, her meeting.
Let's be real, she was not there to be committed to work.
Yeah, well, this is also why I was a little bit confused because I wrote down this bullet point of, oh my God, did she miss her meeting? And then the sub bullet was three question marks, no mention of the meeting. And then sub bullet, wait, what? Is she actually doing well at work now? Because then there was just a time skip and he's like, hey, you've been like fitting in with the team really well. And I was like, what? She missed her meeting.
That's fair. Did you enjoy, okay, if she didn't have an 8:30 meeting, would you have enjoyed them falling in love in one night kind
Oh,
of
for
story?
sure. Yeah. Yeah, I loved it, but I was just really fixated on the 8:30 meeting.
Nice.
Yeah. If it were a Friday night going into Saturday, you do you, girl. Okay, I also wanted to talk through like all of the different like relationships. So Jessica and Felix's relationship, Jessica and Zev's, Wendy and Zev maybe. Or yeah. What did you think about just Jessica and Felix in general?
Um, I really liked their relationship. I thought like they really see each other for who, well, actually, I want to say Felix really sees Jessica for who she is and loves everything about her. And I thought that was so sweet that like how deeply he sees her. I can't really tell how much she really sees and understands Felix. I'm open to being pushed back on that, but I don't know if they showed a lot of her being there for him in a very deep way,
Yeah.
um, in like a way that would help his insecurities and like, stuff like that. She tried to comfort him when he told her about his childhood trauma of being sexually abused. So I guess there's that, but she didn't do a great job of it and kind of made it about herself. But yeah, otherwise I thought it was really sweet. I really liked I know it was really cheesy, but I liked when he was like, "You're not very kind to yourself." For example, this like cold noodles and you don't dry your curtains. And she's like, "But how will I know it's morning? I'll just keep sleeping." And he's like, "I'll be your curtains." I thought that was so cute.
Yeah, he was so sweet to her. I agree. It really felt like he understood her. He was, telling her all the things that she didn't have to do to abuse herself, basically. Where he was like, you don't have to eat cold noodles. And then a little bit later on in that episode, after they have sex, the 8:30 a.m. episode, she's like eating cold noodles from the fridge. And it's like, what's going on here, girl? Um, yeah, I think I agree. I feel like he totally saw her. He was there comforting her in the exact ways that she needed to be comforted. And I didn't see it from the other side. Or maybe we did. I think what I saw was, yeah, actually, maybe we did. So what I saw was he was asking for space and he was asking for her to kind of like be there for him and give him the emotional support, but she just kind of was like, crashing open doors, bulldozing over everything, and being like, tell me about what happened, what's going on, what's wrong. So I think one thing that got closest to that was after he came home from his family meeting, his family dinner, and then he just like looked at her and was like, hey, and then she was like, what's wrong? What happened? Like, what's going on? So I think she was able to see him for like what he needed, but I think I didn't really identify with the ways that she did that because it felt like to me he was setting up boundaries, being like, I just need 5 minutes. I just need 1 minute. And even at the end of the episode, or at the end of the season, he was like, I just need 1 minute after Astrid died. And she was like, no, like crying all over him and like still trying to like, yeah, like beat down those doors. So I thought that was weird.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Her recognizing that he's upset, I would not call that her seeing him. I would call that being a person who's not completely apathetic. But the seeing him part should come from recognizing that he does need space and that that's how he processes his emotions is he needs to sit in a corner and process his feelings and he'll come to her when he's ready, not her like bulldozing until he gives in. So, yeah, I think that's more evidence that she doesn't really know how to take care of him.
Yeah, but I guess like the antithesis is that we saw that his family is very distant towards him. And growing up, he was molested by his nanny, which was really heartbreaking to see. So I think from that lens, because he was left alone for a majority of his childhood, and when he was left alone, like bad things happened to him, and he didn't really have any other choice. It's not like anyone else was beating down the doors to get to him. That's kind of how he knows how to cope with things. And so she is now the only person in his life that is like beating down those doors and coming to him no matter what he says. I think for me personally, that would be really annoying, but that's also because I know myself and I know how to communicate and I can accurately communicate what I need. So it's like, if I need 5 minutes, I'm going to take 5 minutes. But maybe for him, it's not like that.
That's so fair. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I completely concede everything I said. I think that goes to show that I could not date a Felix because I'd be like, oh, you need 5 minutes? See ya.
Yeah, exactly. See
I
you in
need
3 months.
someone who just like knows what they need.
Yeah, whereas like Jessica's family life is very much actually we saw this scene too where Jessica's mom even though she's ready to go on a date with Dane and she's very excited about this date, Nora's upstairs in bed and calls her mom and is like emergency and then her mom comes up and was like why did you call me for this? But then also is like dude, you need to get a grip on your life. Like why are you still in bed? Like you need to get up, you need to show up for your son. And like we see in that moment the mom is like banging down those doors being like Nora like get up. And so I think Jessica being raised in that environment, she's then like bringing that to Felix in the sense of like we are a family, like we need to be connected to each other, like I need you to know that I'm here for you, but also what you're doing is self-sabotage and you can't do that.
That's definitely her entire family's style.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. What did you think about, so one, how do you agree with Jessica's decision to take Felix back after he tells her that he cheated on her with a much older woman? And two, how did you feel about Jessica and Felix getting married at the end?
I thought it made sense that she immediately kicked him out when he told her that he cheated on her. I also think it was fair for her to take him back. I think it shows that she understands the complexity of being an addict or like, just relapsing and just having to fight this battle all the time. And like when you do relapse, some things are out of your control. Not that it's an excuse, but that, he understands that what he did was wrong and he's trying to take accountability. So I thought it was nice that she took him back. So I'm on her side for that one. Um, them getting married though, I'm like, how long have you guys been together? Like 3 weeks? Just kidding. I know it's
A
longer than
month?
that, but
A month?
oh, oh, excuse me.
That's a good question, though. I actually don't know how long they were together. I feel
Yeah,
like on the order of months.
like 6 months, 9 months, which
Yeah.
just seems so fast, and I don't know. Actually, wait. I do want to look up how long Lena and her husband were together before they got married.
Like the character or actually Lena?
Actually, Lena. Okay. So we can talk about this more when we go through kind of the real life parallels to Lena Dunham's life, but She and Louis Felber, who Felix was loosely based on, started dating early 2021, specifically January or February, apparently, and they got married in September 2021.
Wow. Okay, so very similar parallel. That makes a lot of sense then, because I think when they showed that like wedding scene, I was like, there's no real reason for them to get married, to be honest, as characters. But I think understanding that there are parallels to real life, then it makes sense that they would have that happy ending. I think also with Jessica and Felix, I felt like the beginning of their relationship, I think I didn't really understand how it got so intense so quickly. I think there was a lot of telling rather than showing, maybe. I just felt like, oh, we just now have to believe that they are like locked in it to win it because basically right after they met, Felix started going around and like breaking up with other people.
Yeah. I don't know what it was either, because that also happened before their night of falling in love, right?
It's not like they had like super deep conversations or super unique conversations that would really set their relationship apart from other people because from the first night that they met, she tried to kiss him, he said no, then he goes away, then she lights herself on fire, then he comes back, takes care of the dog, and then breaks her out of the hospital, and then is suddenly like everything's different. And I was like, but it was a lot of action for sure. It was very memorable in that way, but I don't know about actually having that deep connection. I felt like we as the audience were just supposed to like go with it.
Yeah, I am not sure either. I mean, on his side, it sounds like he does this a lot with women, where it's always on to the next, kind of a getaway car situation, if you will. Um, so maybe for him that was just his character, and like for whatever reason, Jessica stuck and where the other women didn't. And maybe from Jessica's perspective, she was just like craving that connection with someone so much after years of feeling disconnected with Zev, that she was like, oh my gosh, I feel connected to someone. Like, we've been together 2 days, but he's my guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we were just like meant to accept that. But what did you think about her and Zev's relationship? I was kind of shocked that they were together for 7 years. Yeah, which would actually put Jessica at age 36, I guess, when the show started. Because Zev, oh, maybe only slightly older than that. Because Zev said I love you to her on her 29th birthday.
Oh,
And then they said they were together for 7 years. So maybe worst case, he said I love you to her after like a year of dating, which also seems kind of long. And then so she's like 35 when she goes to London.
wow. I can't believe she's that old. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
It-
girl.
yeah, I really thought that she was like early 30s
Yeah.
at the oldest, I would say.
Yeah, I really loved learning about her and Zev's relationship. I thought it was absolutely so realistic for a relationship of your, I mean, I thought of it as a relationship in your 20s. I totally forgot he said I love you on her 29th birthday. Yeah, I thought it was very realistic of a relationship in your 20s where everything's bright and sunny, when you're not like thinking too critically about the future, and then you get together and then suddenly it's been like 5 years and you're like, whoa, where did time go? Why am I with this person? Am I even happy? And you just start like he just started completely taking her for granted. He stopped seeing her or her needs. He started seeing her needs as a burden. And I don't know. I guess they didn't really show like if she was doing much for him, question mark. But yeah, I really liked how they showed that. And I thought how it ended was also very realistic. I thought they made him more cruel than hopefully the average like death by a thousand cuts type breakup is. But overall, yeah, very well depicted.
Yeah, for sure. I felt like this was one of the like most accurate, or I really like the way that they did the storytelling about the relationship because you just are thrown into it as an audience being like, "Oh, he cheated on her. What a scumbag," right? And then you're like, "Oh, wait, they were together for 7 years." And then you actually get the full picture and you're like, "How can this person that you see at the very beginning who's so loving, who goes to the family dinners, massages the grandma's feet, says that Jessica would be a great mom to like 7 kids or something. How do you go from that to like the cheating scumbag that we saw in the beginning of the series? And then you saw that transition kind of happen. So I really liked the way that they did the storytelling there. I thought it was really good.
Yes, yeah. As someone who was in a very long-term relationship for like 4 years, I thought the depiction of the beginning where like he's making a huge effort with the family and everything's so rosy, and then by the end it's like a skeleton of what the relationship once was, and it's just a given that they're still together. Like, I don't think he ever would have broken up with her. He just would have been so miserable if she didn't take the reins and like just being like, "Oh, this is my life and I'm upset about it and I'll take it out on you." I like, yeah, we're definitely elements of that towards the end of our relationship too, where it's like, how did we come so far from where we started 4 years ago? Yeah.
No, but I think, I mean, I have not been in a long-term relationship like that before, but I feel similar. Like it must every long-term relationship that ends like that must go down in a very similar way of like there was a reason that we were together for so long, and it wasn't because we tolerated each other. It's because we actually did love each other like very strongly for a long, long time. And then over time, we just became different people and grew apart. And it is really sad to have that conversation of like, hey, we have to call it. Like, I think we know that it's been dead for a while. And actually, that was a poor choice of words because the way that Jessica and Zev's relationship ended was also pretty crazy. I did not know that there was an abortion involved. Like, that was a crazy twist. Do you think that the babies was Zev, or do you think it was that random guys?
I don't know. I feel like it was random dudes because I'm also curious how often she and Zeb were even having sex. You know? It was
Yeah, that's a good
probably
point.
like once a month if they were lucky, and it wasn't very good.
You know, now that I think about it, I wonder if Zev knew that. Because if they weren't having sex and then she's like, I have to get an abortion, and Zev's like, yeah. Wow, I didn't even
Maybe.
think about that. I have a question for you. As a dog owner, what did you think of the cutesy scene? So that was like the one of the major turning points in Jessica and Zev's relationship, where Jessica really wants this dog. They adopt this dog, cutesy, and Jessica has to go like take it for a walk. And then Zev and Jessica are walking cutesy, and cutesy like starts barking at this random dog. And then the dog owner's mom gets upset and she like goes off on Jessica. So, yeah, as a dog owner, what is your thought on that? Who was in the wrong, actually?
Okay, so am I remembering this correctly where Jessica let Cutesy approach the dog and then Cutesy was unfriendly? Or was it that the friendly dog approached Cutesy and then Cutesy snapped back?
I think Cutesy approached the dog.
Okay. I think in that case it was Jessica's fault because she must know by then that Cutesy is not friendly with all dogs. A lot of people actually say you should never let dogs greet each other on leash. Um, my dog happens to be fine with other dogs on leash because the leash they see as like you're holding me back, so like there's a reason you're holding me back, and and so I definitely think Jessica was in the wrong there. That being said, that lady did not need to scream at her like that. That was so unnecessary, and like her dog was fine. So just be like, "Oh, next time you should not approach." Like, yeah. That's all that needed to be said, but it definitely was Jessica's fault if
Okay.
Cutesy was the one that approached.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was Cutesy that approached, but Yapper is correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah. And if it was the other dog that approached, then like, lady, it's your fault for letting your dog approach any random fucking dog. Like,
Yeah.
it's not Jessica's fault that her dog happened to be unfriendly. Yeah.
Yeah, true. But at the end of the day, the lady did not have to go off on Jessica, and Zev did not have to go off on Jessica.
Yeah. Oh, one random thing. It took them so long to say Astrid's name on the show. Like the entire first, I don't know, 2 or 3 episodes, I was like, why isn't anyone asking what this dog's name is? I want to know this dog's name. Nobody asked. It was crazy.
Oh, I didn't even clock that. I was just like, ugly ass dog. Astrid, and we're like, ugly ass turd.
Astrid.
Oh my god, her stupid little tongue.
She went to pick her at the shelter. She was like, perfect. And Astrid's like,
I just think that people these days have such an obsession over ugly things. I feel this.
Labubu.
Yes, I feel this way about Labubu. Oh my gosh. Don't tell Izzy. Sorry, Izzy. Yeah, the Labubus. I'm like, they're ugly, right? And then even Crocs, even like really chunky sneakers, I never understood it. I'm like, they're so ugly, you guys. Why? No, everyone really likes ugly cute now. They're like, it's so ugly that it's cute.
I do like chunky sneakers. I think they make legs look skinny.
I don't think they make my legs look skinny. I think it's like chunk on chunk. That's why it's
3 chunks now.
yeah, it's like chocolate chip cookies with a whipped cream on top. Okay, oh, I have some fun facts. So one fun fact, New York fun fact, is that Jess meets Zev at this place called Alligator Lounge.
Yes, I've heard of that place.
Yes, it was also scene of the crime in the rehearsal with Nathan Fielder.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing about Alligator Lounge is that they do give you a little pizza ticket with your drink. So if you get a drink, you get a little free pizza. And to be honest, the pizza at Alligator Lounge is quite good. I will
Wow,
say.
so they were right. They got the ratios right.
Yeah, they get it right. Yes, and also my former roommate Nihal, we went to Alligator Lounge and they have trivia there, and we won at trivia.
Oh, is this the episode in the rehearsal about trivia?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah, the trivia guy. Okay.
Yeah, where they practice all of the trivia questions beforehand. Yeah.
Got it. Oh, fun.
Oh, one quote that I really loved was when Jessica was telling Felix that she loved him. She said, I wish there were other words and a new way to say it. I thought
Oh,
that was really nice.
yeah, that was really sweet.
I feel like everyone feels this way when they're falling in love, with I feel like every time you fall in love, it's different because you've learned from your previous relationship. And so
Yeah,
you don't want to say the same words because it's a different feeling.
yeah.
But in the end, it all comes down to just how do I express this like deep emotion that I'm feeling, even though it's deeper than it was before. It has to be the same words, but what it means is now different to me. I thought that was a beautiful way of saying that.
It was beautiful. Yeah, because every time you love a new person, the love is so different, but it's the same word. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially for her being with Zev before and now being in such a different, new, I guess, secure-ish kind of love with Felix.
Yeah.
And then my heart was also broken when he was like, I don't know how to say it back. But then we found out that those words were something very
Weaponized.
different. Yeah, weaponized. So, yeah, I think my heart really broke because it was like, oh, I wish there were other words and a new way to say it. And she was thinking of something else, but he was thinking of something very different. So he probably also was like, yeah, I too wish there were different words, but
Yeah. There were some fun cameos. Well, I don't know. I guess we shouldn't call them cameos. They were just side characters that I recognized from other things. So, first of all, Jessica's mom is played by Rita Wilson, who is Tom Hanks's wife. And also played Marnie's mom in Girls. So there's a bit of a Lena Dunham universe thing going on there.
I noticed there were a lot of characters that were similar in Girls in this show as well. Because wasn't, uh, well, Lena Dunham herself was Nora. And then wasn't Nora's husband also in Girls?
Yes, he was in Girls. His real name is Andrew Rannells, and he played Elijah in Girls. Yes. Yeah. I was also shocked that he was playing a straight, well, I guess bi man. Yeah. Because I've only seen him play like very gay characters.
You know, I did get that vibe from him. But they made it work. They made it work.
Then we had, okay, this was a deep cut, but did you recognize the lady that was Felix's ex at the wedding with the daughter, Hyacinth?
She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her.
Okay, her name is Sonoya Mizuno, and she played Araminta Lee in Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, the bride. And actually, it was a wild journey figuring that out because my sister and I just watched Crazy Rich Asians on, I think, Friday or Saturday or something. And then I saw this girl in the show the next day. And I was like, that looks like Araminta. Is that Araminta? And then I went to her IMDb and Too Much showed up, but Crazy Rich Asians did not. And then I was like, huh, then who played the woman in Crazy Rich Asians? And then I went to the Crazy Rich Asians cast on Google and found Araminta Lee, and then it said Sonoya Mizuno. And then I was like, oh, so it was her. So then I went to her Wikipedia, and then Crazy Rich Asians was there, but Too Much was not there. And I was like, what is going on?
Maybe it's like because it was like side characters. I don't know. Some databases need to be populated.
Yeah, maybe.
Joins. Some joins need to happen.
And then, of course, Will Sharpe, who plays Felix, was Ethan in White Lotus season 2.
Yes.
Um, and then I also found out Jessica, played by Megan Stalter, is apparently a recurring role in Hacks, which I haven't seen, but yeah.
A lot of the same actors in Hacks are also in Too Much,
Oh, interesting.
apparently. Well, other people I recognized, Andrew Scott, who played Jim, the director, he was the villain in Sherlock, the series.
Moriarty.
Yeah, Moriarty. Yeah, actually, oh my gosh, my facial recognition for celebrities is so bad. When I first saw him, I was like, I want to say he's Mark Ruffalo, but I also don't think he's Mark Ruffalo.
I had the exact same thought. I was like, this is like almost Mark Ruffalo. This is Park Muffalo. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had literally the same thought. And then I was like, but I do recognize him for a reason that's unrelated to Mark Ruffalo. And then I was like,
that's
did he play Moriarty? And then I looked it up. And yeah.
that's exactly what I thought too. Oh my God. Okay, I wonder if we thought the same thing about this next person. Rhea Perlman, who plays Jessica's grandmother, is Annette Castellano in the Mindy Project.
Oh, I think I've seen her. Okay, I definitely saw her in that, but I think there was something else that I recognized her from. I think she's just one of those faces that I've seen in so many things that she's just like generic old Jewish woman actress now.
Yeah, she is everywhere. I'm sure her IMDb list is too much. But yeah, that's what I recognize her. I was like, Annette Castellano. And then another person I recognized was Stephen Fry as Felix's dad.
Oh yeah. Wait, what is he in?
He is also one of those guys that's just kind of everywhere, but I recognize him as like a UK comedian type. I think he's on Taskmaster. I actually don't know how I know Stephen Fry.
Oh, you must know him as the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland.
You're so right.
I must recognize him from Bones, but then I double recognize his name because he voiced the Harry Potter books, the second version of the Harry Potter audiobooks but also fuck J.K. Rowling.
There it is. Okay. Oh, and then these weren't like actors or actresses, but other influencer cameos. So when Jessica puts her private profile on TikTok for everyone to see, there is a reaction from, I think it's, wait, let me confirm this. Yes, the influencer name is Pass That Puss.
Oh yeah, I recognized him and Owen Thiel. It was the
Yes,
second
Owen Thiel.
influencer. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote both of them down. I was like, oh, Owen Thiel, he's from Adults.
Oh, that's right. Oh yeah, he was an adult. And then that reminds me, I totally forgot to say Wendy Jones is played by Emily Ratajkowski, Emrata. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I actually don't know how I knew Emily Ratajkowski, and so I looked her up and I was like, oh, she's from the Blurred Lines music video?
That's right, she is. And she's
Yeah.
just a huge influencer. I listened to her Call Her Daddy episode. That's kind of how I got introduced to her. But she does talk about blurred lines in that episode, and she has a book where she talks about the Blurred Lines music video.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, speaking of Wendy Jones, the character, I laughed so hard because we were thought to believe that Wendy Jones was like this famous influencer model type character. And then when she is talking to Rita Ora about all of this stuff. Oh yeah, also Rita Ora is in this
Oh, right, Rita Ora.
when she's talking to Rita Ora and she was like, I mean, do you know Wendy Jones? And then Rita Ora's like, no, who the fuck is Wendy Jones? And then Jessica was like, "Ugh, you must not be part of the knitting community." I was
She's
like,
pretty
oh,
big in the knitting community. I was like, that's who Wendy Jones is.
it's like, she a public figure? No, she's literally just a normal person who like knits clothes sometimes and has maybe like tens of thousands of followers.
Which makes so much more sense because I was like, how would Zev pull like a mega influencer?
Yeah.
What?
And why all of Wendy Jones's videos were just about her like knitting things. And then Jessica was like, "Oh, I just like knit all my clothes. I'm like so cool." And it's like, "Oh, that makes sense. She's a knitting influencer that she would knit all of her clothes." Like, oh, it makes sense now. I thought that was a really good wind up.
Oh, okay. Um this was a point that my sister made when we started. So she and I watched episode 1 and then she refused to watch the rest. Um but she let me know if you agree with this.
Okay.
Her take was that Lena Dunham is the white woman version of Mindy Kaling, where Mindy has a very specific way that she portrays her main characters. And it's always like sometimes high achieving or sometimes creative brown girl who's boy crazy and obsessed with sex and also only into white boys. And then Lena Dunham's version of that is like fat white women who are into conventionally attractive men.
I totally agree with that. I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. Yeah. It's like a weirdly specific character who they're trying to make this person represent the average woman experience. And it's like, this is so specific, and I've seen this specific character only from you in all of your shows. And I just want to say that's not what my experience has been like. Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Yes, I thought that was so astute.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I would also say, well, preview for next week, we're covering The Summer I Turned Pretty. Well, Ruchi isn't, but
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I would also say Jenny Han, who's the author of The Summer I Turned Pretty and To All the Boys I Loved Before, also does this, where it's always like half Korean, half white girl who's really into a bunch of white boys.
Question for you. So, at what point, I think there's, I don't know what it is to be in a creative field and to like do this thing of, oh, write what you know, because then you can really provide this air of authenticity behind it. But then also, how do you have the creative liberty to to create characters who you may not know, who are not based on yourself, and still have them feel authentic. Um, I don't know. I think it's weird, especially with cancel culture being so out there, that it feels like a lot of women writers, especially, are kind of forced into this niche of like, I have to write characters that are solely based on who I am because that's what I know and that's what I know I can write about and give this like call to authority for. But if I try to step outside that box, it's really difficult. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. It must be hard to come up with a character where like you understand them to their core if they're not that similar to you as a person. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
very real.
Oh, I did have another fun fact. So you know the song where Jessica is talking to Felix and she's like, "You have to kiss me for the length of this song."
Mhm.
Um, the length of that song is 10 minutes and 20 seconds.
Stop! That's so long. They're gonna need some mega Laneige lip mask after that shit.
Yeah, and then there's apparently also a legend behind it. So, the song is called Maggot Brain, and it's by the band Funkadelic, and it was
Hmm.
released in July 1971. So, this is from the Wikipedia. I did not do that much research on this, so take it with a grain of salt. According to legend, the opening title track was recorded in one take when Clinton, under the influence of LSD, and that's George Clinton, the band leader, told the lead guitarist Eddie Hazel to play as if he had just learned his mother was dead. Clinton instructed him to picture that day, what he would feel, how he would make sense of his life, and how he would take a measure of everything that was inside him and let it out through his guitar. And that's the song they were kissing to.
Wow, that's so weird.
Such a fine line between sultry and morose.
Yes.
So that was like one example of how Jessica tried to, or Zev did something with Jessica where he introduced her to the song and then Jessica took that and did it with Felix. And there was a parallel story that happened where Jessica asked Zev, "Oh, like, what's your response to, would you still love me if I were a worm?" And he was like, "That's a stupid internet trend, blah, blah, blah." But then he does it with Wendy. And then there was another parallel of like the spitting in the mouth thing. I thought that was so weird, by the way.
Oh, Mama bird, baby bird.
I hate that. No, I don't like it. But it was everywhere in all of the couples. They all did it.
Oh, even oh, interesting. Did they show Zev and Wendy doing it?
Oh, actually, I don't know if Zeb and Wendy did it, but
Oh, okay.
Felix and the girl that he was dumping, Linnea, or Linnea did it to him. I can't remember.
Okay.
Anyway, there's that. Then there was also Felix and the older woman. Then it was also Felix and Jessica. And then it was also Jessica and someone else, I think.
Zev and Zev did it.
Oh, Jessica and Zev did it. Okay, yeah. So I was like,
Yeah.
what is with the spitting in the mouth thing?
I don't know. Okay, I did not notice Felix and Old Woman or Felix and Linnea do it, but I did notice that Jessica did it with both Felix and Zev, and I thought at one point Felix was like, "Do you want me to spit in your mouth?" Or maybe Zev said that, and I was like, "Oh, maybe it's a kink of hers, so she just like likes when it's done to her by any man." But then they showed it between Felix and other people. That's confusing. Maybe it's Lena Dunham's kink.
Yeah, maybe. Because I think it's like, it felt really similar to how Quentin Tarantino always has like really aggressive like feet shots. And so, like, that's also why there's, yeah, maybe it's a Lena Dunham king. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
there was a lot of like people spitting in each other's mouths. And I was like,
Ew,
why?
gross.
Yeah. So I guess that brings us
Yeah.
to parallels between Lena Dunham and
Oh,
the
yes.
show.
All right. So this show had many parallels to Lena Dunham's real life. First of all, there's a lot of speculation that Zev was based on Jack Antonoff, who is Lena Dunham's ex-boyfriend. He is now married to Margaret Qualley, and he's also like the producer on all of Taylor Swift's albums. That's kind of how he's so famous. Also, he's the lead singer of the Bleachers. So they were together for several years, and then apparently when they broke up, he immediately started dating this model, Carlota Cole, and Jack had been telling people that he and Lena had been like basically in the process of breaking up for 6 months. Um, when like they hadn't actually ended it until right before he started dating Carlota. And then that's also what Zev tells Wendy about his breakup with Jessica, is that like they had been basically broke on and off for 6 months, but not actually broken, but like they weren't. So there's one parallel. After Lena and Jack broke up, she immediately moved to London, similar to Jessica, and soon after, she met Louis Felber, who Felix is loosely based on. Louis Felber is also an indie musician. He's half Peruvian, half Caucasian, but he's also like a kind of grunge indie musician. And fun fact, three of the songs that Felix sings in the show are actually Louis's songs. So fun. And then the last parallel that I found was that Lena, when she was, I think it was when she was with Jack, or maybe, I don't know when it was, but apparently she had a rescue dog. I want to find the name of this rescue dog. Um,
Ass turd.
this one was not named Asterd. Okay, so yeah, so she had this rescue dog named Lambie that she adopted from Brooklyn Animal Rescue Coalition, Bark, in 2017. And she had to rehome Lambie due to behavioral issues, which led to a huge public dispute with the shelter. And one guy from the shelter went on Yahoo News and was like, this dog was perfect before Lena took her, and now this dog is super traumatized. So Lena must be abusing her dog. And then Lena was like, I'm a very good dog owner. Like, I take a lot of pride in being a very good pet parent. Also, okay, Bark employee who's casually talking to Yahoo News. Like, why are you? Yeah, you obviously have some sort of ulterior motive here, which I thought was
That
funny.
is so funny.
Yeah.
I will say, I think like for better or for worse, I do really think that Lena Dunham just has zero filter. And like sometimes it's very refreshing and sometimes it's like, ooh, you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
I think this is the one case where I'm glad she said it.
So funny. And then the other sad thing, okay, so then I just went on like a rabbit hole reading about Lena Dunham's public controversies, of which there have been many, most of which end in her making a very strong public apology, which is kind of endearing, I think. But also like, girl, like learn some lessons here. Why does this keep happening? But anyway, another thing that happened, which is very sad, is that after the Lambie incident, she adopted a dog and she adopted a cat, and both died within 6 months of her adopting them. And so people were like, she abuses her pets, blah, blah, blah. But then she was like, guys, I only adopt old as fuck pets, so that's why they keep dying. Like, stop coming at me about my pets.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are the parallels I found between Lena's life and Jessica's life. But yeah, Briz, if you know any more, definitely let us know.
Wow, I did not know that. Thanks for doing that research. I guess another parallel that I just thought of, like completely unrelated to Lena Dunham, but I think the whole Wendy story about her like thinking that she's a model and some like huge influencer, and then realizing by the end of the series that she's just another woman who's kind of been taken advantage of by a man, is really similar to the Sirens arc, where Julianne Moore is this ethereal character that we think she's like drawing men to her and she has some kind of crazy power, but then by the end she's just like she's on the ferry like everyone else. And so it was a really like coming to reality moment.
Oh, totally. It's like the power we place on women. We attribute so much to women, but it's really just based on who they're with at the time. We
Yeah.
as society.
Yeah.
Let's do ratings.
Okay. I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
Um, Surprisingly, this was an 8 for me in the end. Yeah, I really started really low, as you know. I think it definitely picked up in the two episodes. Like after the first two episodes, that's when it really started getting good. So, Yappers, if you are not a huge fan of Lena Dunham and you're huge fans of us and you want to watch too much, stick through the first two episodes and then you will start seeing returns. I also think that this conversation also really increased it for me. I loved hearing the parallels of Dunham's personal life and inspiration that she brought to the story. I think that made it feel a lot more grounded, even though I may not love the characters themselves. I think it was really fun to watch something different from what I normally watch, I will say. So yeah, an 8.
Nice. Wow, okay. I think this is maybe the first time you're rating something higher than I'm rating it. I think I would rate this sadly like a 6.5 out of 10 for me. But I will say it made a huge comeback because we were starting at like a 2 probably. And so it made a big comeback, ended at a 6.5. I think just I don't love the super crude humor, just like casually talking about like blowing people and cum and blah 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 like all the time between characters. But yeah, overall, cute story, cute life lessons, I think. Yeah.
I think for me, there were also a lot of laugh out loud moments. So like,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I also am not like a huge fan of crude humor, but I think the humor was so crude that it was funny again. And then in one instances, I think because Jessica presents as such a sweet character, but then sometimes she just says things that are so out of pocket that you can't help but laugh. So one thing that really made me laugh was when Felix was taking a picture of her and he was in landscape and then he like switched to portrait and then she was like, "Okay, let me see. Have you ever taken a picture of a woman before?" I think the delivery of that line was so funny and then it just immediately cut scenes after that. I think there were a couple of laugh out loud moments like that that kind of made
Oh,
up for the
nice.
cringy moments.
Okay. For some reason, I did not like the delivery of her lines. Like that one, I don't know. I was trying to think. This is inherently quite funny, but something about her delivery just didn't do it for me. And I felt that way also about after they spend their first night together and then she's wearing her purple skirt suit, very formal outfit, and he's like, "Oh, what do you do?" And she's like, "I'm a stripper." But she says it in like such a flat way that I was like, this could have been said so much funnier. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is just her style of delivery, is that she just says like really sarcastic things with a really straight face. And if you are not like ready for that, you're like, "Whoa, was she serious? She must be joking, right?" And then you're like, "Okay, she's definitely joking." Yeah, I think that was part of her charm that I got used to by the end.
All right.
Binge progressi. I did not watch anything other than Too Much.
Wow.
Yeah.
No binge in progress.
But I will say that my replacement binge in progress was Trader Joe's snacks. So yappers, my housewarming party was yesterday, and Shalini came, yay, and a bunch of other people, and I had a bunch of snacks, mostly influenced by this New York Times article that was like the best Trader Joe's snacks. And I basically just got a lot of things from that list. And we had a whole smorgasbord of Trader Joe's snacks. It was really delicious.
It was an excellent spread. Wait, can
Yeah.
you list some of the things on that New York Times list?
Okay, yeah. So some of the things were the Tom Yum Thai snack mix.
Oh, so
Um,
good.
so good. The chocolate ganache mini sheet cake. And there was a bunch of different cheeses, like the unexpected cheddar cheese and the Le Dulce Bouillon something French, but it's a soft cheese. Don't ask me any more questions. And then we also had garlic naan chips with the tzatziki sauce.
That's what those were. I was trying to describe these crackers to Anju. And I was like, they were like kind of like weirdly shaped and had some sort of seasoning on them.
Ah,
The
they're so
garlic
good.
naan chips. Okay,
Yeah. And then
great.
what else is there? Like herbs and spices popcorn.
Mm.
Oh,
Ube
freeze-dried
cookies?
watermelon. Oh, what?
Oh, I was gonna say ube cookies? Question
Yes,
mark.
ube powdered sugar cookies. Um, Way too many chocolate chips, cookies, freeze-dried watermelon.
Got it. Okay, okay. Cool. Nice. Well, that's a great binge in progress.
Yeah. Thanks.
Binge eating in progress, am I right?
Oops.
That was me yesterday. Binge eating in progress continuously.
I did not have dinner last night because I was
Me
like, I
neither.
ate too many snacks.
Yeah, same. My binge in progress is I'm rewatching The Summer I Turned Pretty in preparation for season 3 premiere dropping on Wednesday. I am now in the middle of season 2. So, very excited to chat about that with guest host Aliana.
So many bonus episodes this month.
Yeah. Yay.
Yay! Well, as always, thanks for yapping with us.
Always be watching.
Always be watching.
Thanks for yapping with us. If you loved this episode, have some hot takes we missed, or if you've got a show you're dying for us to binge next, follow us on socials. We're at Binge Yap Repeat.
Until next time, happy binging!